Right now, the United States military is secretly building an autonomous army of 300,000 kamikaze drones, and they plan to unleash them in what commanders call an unmanned hellscape. For decades, the Pentagon relied on multi-million-dollar missiles. But the battlefield has changed overnight. Massive tanks are being decimated by $500 commercial drones strapped with explosives. America is suddenly playing a desperate game of catch-up against adversaries pumping out millions of these uncrewed systems every year. To prevent a strategic catastrophe, the War Department triggered a high-speed sprint known as the Drone Dominance Program. This is not a theoretical experiment. By 2027, the Pentagon intends to push hundreds of thousands of weaponized attack drones to the front lines. But there's a terrifying flaw hidden inside this plan, one that involves the very adversary they are preparing to fight. We'll get to that shocking paradox in a moment. First, understand how the military is acquiring these weapons so fast. It's an initiative called the Gauntlet. In February 2026, 25 secretive drone manufacturers were summoned to Fort Benning, Georgia. Their mission? Prove their technology could survive the harshest combat environments. The military didn't want complex machines that take years to build. They wanted cheap, highly expendable, and incredibly deadly. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made the objective crystal clear. Lethality will not be hindered by bureaucratic restrictions. He committed $1.1 billion to purchase massive drone swarms across 4 phases. This first phase, Gauntlet 1, tested the absolute limits of 25 competing companies, eventually narrowing them down to 11 victorious winners. Before we reveal the mind-bending technology that just won first place, and trust me, it defies everything you know about modern warfare, hit the subscribe button to Atlas Classified. We uncover the world's most guarded geopolitical secrets every single week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. So, what actually dominated the Gauntlet? The final answer stunned the military-industrial complex. You'd naturally expect the winner to be a massive American defense contractor showing off a radio-controlled stealth drone. Well, you would be wrong. First place went to a British startup named Skycutter, working with Ukrainian combat engineers. They scored a staggering 99.3 out of 100 points, and their flagship drone, the Shrike 10, doesn't use radio signals at all. It uses a physical wire. That's right, a 12.4-mile-long fiber-optic cable that spools out behind the drone as it flies toward its target. Why on earth would the Pentagon want a drone tied to a string? Because the open airwaves are no longer safe. In modern conflict zones, adversaries use massive electronic warfare jamming arrays to cut video feeds and drop radio-controlled drones right out of the sky. But a physical fiber-optic cable? It is completely immune to electronic jamming. It delivers a pristine kill feed directly to the operator, cutting straight through the thickest electronic interference imaginable. The runner-up was an American-made system called the Neros Archer, scoring 87.5 points. The Archer is already deployed by Marine Corps and Army infantry units as a reliable squad-level attack drone. Other top contenders included Napatri technology and modal AI, featuring highly intuitive user interfaces. The military actually forced regular soldiers to fly these drones after just a brief 2-hour training session. They wanted to know, can an 18-year-old infantryman successfully deploy this weapon under severe pressure? The answer was a resounding yes. Immediately following the tests, the Pentagon placed a $150 million order for 30,000 drones, demanding delivery in just 5 months. But as production rapidly ramps up for Gauntlet 2, a dark reality is setting in. Remember that terrifying flaw I teased earlier? It has the potential to ground the entire United States drone fleet before it ever takes off. It's known as the Blue UAS paradox. The Pentagon maintains a vetted list of approved commercial drones supposed to be completely free of components from adversaries like China or Russia. It's a critical cornerstone of President Trump's directive to build a secure, China-free supply chain. But defense insiders recently leaked a devastating fact. The vast majority of these supposedly American-made drones still rely entirely on electric motors sourced directly from factories in China. If a major geopolitical conflict breaks out tomorrow, and Beijing cuts off the supply of these motors, America's massive drone swarm simply cannot fly. This deeply rooted dependency is the ultimate Achilles heel of the drone dominance program. The next phases of the Gauntlet are designed to force manufacturers to build completely domestic supply chains from the ground up. But fixing a fundamentally broken industrial base takes time. Time the United States might not actually have. Because these thousands of drones aren't just being built to sit in a warehouse. They are being accumulated for one highly classified, incredibly urgent tactical objective. Admiral Samuel Paparo, the commanding officer of all U.S. Indo-Pacific forces, has openly discussed his aggressive strategy for defending Taiwan from a potential Chinese military invasion. He calls this terrifying concept the Hellscape. If the People's Liberation Army attempts to cross the Taiwan Strait, the United States doesn't want to risk thousands of American lives. Instead, they plan to deploy a nightmare wall of sheer automated violence. The Hellscape strategy aims to flood the Taiwan Strait with hundreds of thousands of lethal autonomous systems. We're talking about swarms of aerial kamikaze drones, unmanned surface vessels skimming the water, and robotic submarines lurking below. This futuristic porcupine defense is designed to create absolute, unrelenting chaos. The outer layers of the swarm will strike long-range surface ships, while inner layers channel vulnerable landing craft into inescapable kill zones. The ultimate goal is to buy precious time, up to a full month of time, to allow heavy U.S. military platforms to safely mobilize. But there is one glaring problem with deploying a 300,000-strong drone swarm. Who exactly is going to pilot all of them? In the trenches of Ukraine, one human pilot flies one single drone, but the U.S. military cannot dedicate a third of its entire combat force to just sit and stare at video screens. So the Pentagon is turning to artificial intelligence. This brings us to the final, most futuristic piece of this global puzzle. The Pentagon's Chief Digital and AI Office has recently launched the highly ambitious Swarm Forge initiative. Alongside it, they announced a $100 million orchestrator prize challenge. The simple truth is, the military doesn't want traditional human pilots anymore. They want battlefield commanders to manage entire swarms of machines using plain spoken English. Imagine a Marine pointing at a digital map and simply saying to an AI software agent, "Suppress all enemy combat positions in this sector for the next 20 minutes. The orchestrator AI will instantly coordinate hundreds of different drones, independently assigning targets, plotting flight paths, and executing kinetic strikes entirely autonomously. It is a truly apocalyptic vision of modern warfare. We are watching machines preparing to do what humans once did. Commercial AI like Grok is in, and traditional ethics are taking a back seat as the military sprints to field these lethally efficient systems. By 2027, the final phase of the Gauntlet will conclude. The Pentagon fully expects to finalize its terrifying new fleet of hundreds of thousands of low-cost, AI-driven lethal drones. The era of expensive million-dollar missiles dominating the sky is officially over. The future of warfare belongs entirely to the swarm. And the United States government is gambling absolutely everything on its ability to build that swarm faster, smarter, and deadlier than anyone else on the planet. Will the unmanned Hellscape strategy actually be enough to deter the next major global conflict? Or are we simply handing the keys of war over to unpredictable, autonomous machines? Let us know what you think in the comments section down below. If you want to know more about the secret AI systems currently powering the military intelligence apparatus, click the video on your screen right now. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and as always, thanks for watching Atlas Classified.